Okay, shit's getting real. Standing up for this one. Because I'm done wallowing. I'm done sitting down. My intuition was right about the steps, the action that I've been taking. And there is a time for reflecting on those areas of weakness, those areas of vulnerability. It's important. It's important for me to reveal those things, both to myself and to others, because there's a transformation in that. There's a liberation of energy in that. And that energy can make things happen. There can be movement, there can be healing, there can be work done. And this is what we need to do. We need to do work. We need to work on ourselves. We need to work on the world. We need to apply ourselves to creating the change that needs to happen. If we don't do that, there is a big risk of losing everything. And sure, we can look at the grand scheme of things, and all things pass away, and all things change, but our spirit and our consciousness clearly does have affinity to retain certain things, to protect certain things, to enshrine certain things, to lift certain things up. And it's this refining process. And while we're in human form, this is our work, is to refine ourselves and understand our interaction and our interplay with the world. And in facing the difficulty, in facing the hardship, in doing the work, we're able to enjoy the beauty and the pleasure, the ecstasy of exaltation. We climb up that mountain, and from the top we can see the beautiful landscape. We can see the distance we've come. We can enjoy the rarefied air. And even when we do come back down that mountain, we come back to the village, we have something of value to share. We can tell the people that have never left the valley of what we've seen beyond that. We can share with them the bigger picture. And this is what our artists, our visionaries, our spiritual people are meant for. This is their purpose. This is how they fit into the tribe. We need to come back to our roots. Humanity's roots is in tribalism. And yes, it's fine that we've grown our tribes to intersect in the world, and there's a great mixing, but we mustn't lose the individual in this mixing. It is this balance, it is this interplay. We don't want a sea of androgynous robots. We don't want to have a homogenized world. That's not what nature does. Nature creates incredible, exquisite variety. And there seems to be a force that pushes survival of the fittest. Might is right. But this is a very base function. And this is what we're coming back to if we don't act from a place of greater insight and wisdom. I myself find I get reduced to the lowest common denominator if I'm not vigilant, if I'm not practicing those things that give me greater insight. And it does require discipline. It requires facing ourselves, facing hardship, facing it face on, head on, not avoiding the difficult things. It's a balance. It's an art. It requires a holistic vision. It requires us being whole people. And there's so many parts to us. There's so many attributes to us. And this is a lifelong thing. This is a many lifetime thing. But when we are part of something bigger, such as a tribe, such as a planet, such as a solar system and a universe, then we can be specialized, we can have our role, we can understand our role, and we can fulfill that. And we can rejoice in it. We can rejoice in the interplay with others. And it can be play. It can be beautiful and joyous. But if we don't start with fundamentals, which is being whole in ourselves, then we just end up bringing our brokenness to the world. If we're doing that in an unconscious way, then we're just adding more pain to the world. We're adding more suffering and more pollution to the world. There is an opportunity to receive healing from others. And often what that means is just being held, just being witnessed, just being recognized, just being seen. Because the light of consciousness, of our consciousness, is healing. So when we hold that light of consciousness, which is best held with intention, with focus, then we can light up the darkness for others. So our practice of self-reflection, of self-discipline, gives us more light that we can share. I'm tired of being dysfunctional and being wounded and not being able to do something about it. And ultimately that's been my weakness of succumbing to it. Instead of choosing to face it or rise above it, it's a replaying of the narrative, of the story of injustice. And yes, there is injustice in the world. There is cruelty. There's greed. There's all these bleak and dark things. We have to learn how to wisely face them. We have to accept that part of it is in us. And face that which is within us and defeat it there, so that then we can defeat it in the world. And I think it's a constant interplay. Often it's that we're doing it in both. Perhaps always. Perhaps we're always doing it in both. But the place where we have the most power is within ourselves, in the present moment. When we look to the present moment, we de-emphasize the story of victimhood, and we come to our power, because now is where our power is. When we come into the present, we can recognize our aliveness. And as we dwell there, we get insight. About how to implement our power. We get creative impulses. And inevitably that's going to run up against these obstacles within us, these boxes, these old stories, these old neural pathways. And we need to recognize them for what they are. They're the past. They're what was. But they do not need to dictate our present or our future. We can have a paradigm shift in the moment. We can be renewed in the moment. We can take a different course of action. We can see things in a different light. Because the light of the present is fresh and alive and unlimited. If we are to know ourselves truly, we need to reclaim this consciousness, this light, this awareness within us, and practice coming back to it. Practice staying with it. Inevitably, it wants to go off and do things and be creative. That's its nature. The mind wants more. Even if it's suffering, even if it's chaos, even if it's a mixture of things, even if it's driving with the brake on, because often the friction is exciting and it feels like we're doing something. When there's drama, when there's intense emotion. And so many things of this world have sought to co-opt our life force, our energy, and our consciousness. And at this precipice that we're at right now, we need to wake up to who we truly are. And that is unlimited beings. The true human is a magnificent being. We've been told otherwise. We've been groomed otherwise. We've been preyed upon. We've been farmed. And perhaps for a time, there's a reason for that. But that reason is coming to an end. It's not necessary anymore. There is a divide happening. Maybe for some it's still necessary. Maybe for the people who behave like NPCs, maybe they need to go through another cycle of suffering, of being slaves. But for those of us who can no longer bear it, and we can no longer bear seeing it happening in the world to others, to our planet itself, it's time for us to rise into our power, into our wholeness, into our fullness. And to rout any kind of slavery and oppression that exists both within us and outside of us. I like to think about how if I was a parent, what would I do for a child? What would I do for my child? And that child is within me. there is a part of me that is innocent, that is joyous. I think of the children and the tarot card, the sun. They're just playing joyously, feeling the radiance of God. Not a care in the world. And yes, that's kind of idyllic, but there is this being within us that is that innocent, is that pure, is that carefree. And then we have these other parts that are meant to protect that and gently guide it and nurture it in a way that's not based in trauma, that's not based in cruelty or suffering. There are innocent elements of our world. There are children. There are animals. There are plants. There is the earth as an organism that is being abused. And this abusive force is intelligent. It is covert. Just like those elements within us. And we need to face them honestly and dispel them. And as we do so, we will regain our true self. We will regain our power and our strength. This requires both mercy and severity. This requires a refinement. The universe is offering us an initiation right now. And there is a fine line between initiation and trauma and death. Tribal cultures in the past have created mock deaths as initiations. Often young men in cultures that have been developed over thousands of years have these initiation rituals where they create an experience that can actually lead to death. There's an awareness that death could occur. And in that initiation, there's going from being a child into an adult. There's a trial. And that's what we're in right now. This is a massive collective trial. And we need to dig deep within ourselves. And we need to rout the ignorance and the capitulation within ourselves to those forces that would steal our life, that would steal our joy, that would steal our love. And we may think that is some fierce battle, and we're not equipped for it. But we are equipped for it. The light within us is unopposable. When we know ourselves, when we find that core of being, which is always present, then nothing can stop us. We can look that dragon of fear straight in the eyes. And it will evaporate. We'll see that we gave our power away all along. We believed in a scary story. We believed in a lie. And now it's time to wake up. And this is a day-by-day process. This is a moment-by-moment process. But we are capable of this. This is our purpose. This is our destiny. This is what we're here for. To use the sharpness, to use the cruelty, to use the suffering, to wake up. We need to be honest. But we also need to own that story, the power that we've given it, the power that we've given away. I believe we can do this. That's what I'm here for.